Right, so quick one. Just reflecting now on where our group is and some of the things that are being posted in personal messages. I don't know about you, but people have really taken on board this kind of like fortune favours the brave attitude where business is concerned, an entrepreneurial spirit. They've sat down, they started to make plans, and it's almost as if they've all coincided a bit with the first hurdle in business. Would you agree, my friend Sarah?
I really do. I really do. So I'm seeing movement, but I think what I'm also seeing is fear of failure is causing some people to wobble before they even get to the first hurdle.
They're almost self-sabotaging, aren't they, at this
Yeah,
stage?
and um, not just fear of failure, but also, and I'm guilty of this. This kind of, I want it all to be working and set up right now, and actually that need to plan, do it incrementally, and accept that it's not going to happen
It's been one
overnight.
of those where if you pick the bones, there was a wonderful lady who'd done some research and her competition just folded her
Mm.
because she realised there's an entire industry out there. There's another lady who had had a tutoring business, started off great guns, and then the parents said, "Oh, thanks ever so much. We'll have a break till September." Bang, she went down. There was another lady who she messaged me personally and said she'd been trolled online
Mm,
with her business. And then there was another one who's just feeling this sense of overwhelm.
mm.
And that's business.
It is, and it's. Do you think? Do you think it comes back to again the fact that we've been in the profession that we have, which is in some respects it's quite channeled, isn't it? It's quite funneled. There's a lot of the stuff that is out of your control because somebody else puts in the processes and the procedures and all the rest of it. And so actually, much of what people do when they're teaching is kind of that um, unconscious competence. They just get on and do it, whereas you they're all the way back now to knowing exactly the fact that they don't know what they're doing yet.
And,
Um,
and I think that's in conjunction with the fact that when did you ever, when you were a teacher, think, I've got to recruit these 30 kids through the door for September. I've got to retain these now because that child equates to this amount of money. And if that child decides to go to another school, we don't think like that, irrespective of how hard we work. The one thing you never had to worry about as a teacher was being paid.
yeah.
And I think what's particularly difficult in August, for me, it was always the 15th of the month. What's
Mm,
particularly hard in August, you're about to drop one in on the 15th when you've not technically worked for
right.
four
Yeah.
weeks kind of thing. But I think what this is about, and it's something that I talk about time and time and time again, it is mindset.
Mm,
The only reason you are frightened of something is because there is an absence of faith.
mm.
If you have an absolute faith in what you are doing, if you believe wholeheartedly that what you are about to embark on will work, then you are fearless.
And
And
I think it's also um, I know you did it with your journaling when you were sat back at your table in 2012, and very much I do it now. I talk in the future tense from a perspective that my future is what I want it to be. So there is no if this works out. It is very much
when,
when this works out, and next year I will be able to do
yeah.
X, Y, and Z, and come September I'll be able to take on somebody to do some of my admin work for me, and it's a
Oh,
certainly positive.
you've seen my journals. You've seen my journals when I was sat in a completely different house in an awful set of circumstances, journaling about the success I have now. I
Mm,
am so pleased we've opened the Bowden Group. I'm so
mm,
obviously, and it's about mindset, and there's so much out there on building that mental robustness into what you are doing, and it's hard. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's not just something you can decide you want.
no, and it's like exercise, because the resilience, the robustness comes from repetitive actions that you do to help yourself become more resilient. So you can't just say, oh, I'm going to be more resilient from
Yeah.
tomorrow morning. You have to practice. You have to dust yourself off when you get knocked down. And I'm sat right in front of our favorite quote, the man in the arena, and that whole thing about, yeah, if you're gonna live a fulfilled life, you're gonna fall down, and you're gonna scrape your knees on the way down.
And you're absolutely right in what you're saying. Get a plan.
Yeah.
Get your plan. And if you've really mapped out your business, and if you've mapped out what you want to be doing and your multiple income streams, work on that plan every single day. And there will be setbacks. There will be the online troll. There will be the parent who just for no reason whatsoever withdraws their services, or the wedding that's been booked and then they cancel at the last minute. Such is the way of business. And it's only with experience at time that you just realize that it absolutely isn't personal, but you dig deep, because what's your alternative?
Absolutely. I mean, I think about, you know that I'm fingers in multiple pies, and I think about myself and associates who were in the wedding sector, so me with my photography, a couple of other friends with photography, and the minute that lockdown started in March, all of our bookings went away, like literally went away. And there's with terms and conditions in photography, a deposit isn't actually a deposit. If it's force majeure, if the contract's been broken, then you have to give the deposit back. So it wasn't so bad for me, to be fair, because I was relatively early in the journey. But I know associates who literally overnight lost 30k's worth of bookings.
Okay, do you remember Stood With Me when we watched Boris say we are cancelling the GCSEs? And what was it? Was it 40 grand I lost personally overnight?
Yeah.
And you watched
I
me.
did. I watched the world fall out of you.
And not only that, I'd got a series of limited companies underneath me with the franchisees when you were in exactly the same position. And it's like, okay. And I didn't sleep for a fortnight, and I was living in this state of anxiety where at one point I was trying to plan for every single conceivable outcome. Well, what if there is a lockdown? What if there's not a lockdown? What if the school closed? What if they don't? And in the end, you just go to your years of resilience building and say, right, what can we deal with now?
And you go back to baseline, don't you? So I did exactly what you have been telling lots of people in the group. I just basically went back with my husband and said, right, this is what you're earning. This is what we need to bring in to keep the house going and to sort of fulfill all of our commitments that we've absolutely got to have. And what do I need to do that? And for us, that actually meant, well, we'll dip into our savings for a couple of months, because I fell through all of the gaps with support funding. But you have to go back and almost go, right, okay, it's not the end of it, it's 2 steps back, and it's a different starting point, and we'll go forward again.
And all of the messages that are coming through at the moment on the page, they're saying things along the lines of, I just feel like crying. That's all right, do. Have a cry. Go and have a wallow for the afternoon. Feel incredibly sorry for yourself. Okay, which is what I did. Why? I've worked so hard. I've done this. Why? And then you get a cut-off point and you go, right, what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
One way or another, it's going to be all right. I honestly believe in this day and age, if you are starting a tuition business, right? If you are about to enter into a wedding business, if you are about to enter into any form of enterprise, we have a government that is backing small businesses, whether we like that government or not. All right. One of the things they are doing is hurling money to keep this economy afloat.
And small businesses are in a better position to do that, because we've said it before, haven't we? You can pivot so quickly. You can adjust who you're marketing to and you know, you can turn on a dime, to use a
Yeah, this
phrase.
dog's doing me head in, sorry. What happened was, a couple of weeks ago, for the first time in 10 years, he caught a fly. Happened by complete accident, he caught a fly. And ever since then, he's got imaginary flies going around his head. Right? Because he's never, and when he caught it, he literally looked as if to say, did anybody else see me do that? So, you know, he's never felt that good ever since, but I digress. So no, think quick one there, just gird your loins, hold your nerve. That's the one thing we always say.
Put your big girl pants on.
Yeah, it's going to be all right. Yeah. Go back to do more of what you know works.
Yes.
Go back to a good marketing strategy. Go back and learn about an online presence. Go on YouTube, start researching about your business, how to get a good marketing strategy. Get back into LinkedIn. If you're going into the world of business and you're in your infancy, learn. And the one thing I always say is, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So if there are hurdles, good, because you've got a good business there.
And it makes you stronger.
Happy days.
Stronger.
And keep talking to us. Keep sending messages. Keep posting on the page. I love the fact now that people are just openly asking a question, sharing something. And if you notice, loads of regulars are piling in now with support.
Yeah, it is lovely.
I like that.
It's feeling very much like
a staff room.
Yeah, a staff room. It's mutually supportive.
I've said to you now for a while, what we should do is we should open up a Zoom call and have like a virtual staff room where people can pop in, join this call, have a jangle with us, get something off the chest. I wonder if people would be interested in doing that. We might put that.
Yeah, well, I'll leave this in the recording and ask the question, because we could do it as rooms in Facebook as well. So,
could have a business room, could have a coaching room. You could just have an offshoot, and that kind of thing. But I like how, and I'll tell you what else helps our page as well, when members recommend us in other groups. Because the influx then of new members is huge. But to those people who are embarking upon thriving outside of the classroom, build your momentum, hold your nerve, keep going, have a cry, put the Real Housewives of Cheshire on, always a winner. Always a winner. Always. Keep journaling, keep planning, and keep talking. Radio?
There you go.